So let's talk about CTAs, or call to action, if you are familiar with the term. So call to action is essentially just what you're having the person do next. And it could be used for selling products. It could be, essentially just, hey, this is the next step if you want to learn more, or this is where I think you should go next. And that's essentially what you're doing, is you're trying to guide people that are on your email list or any of your marketing to go to the next step. And so we want to make sure that, especially when you're doing an email, it has to be very clear and very easy for people to know what to do next, because that's what essentially they're doing. If they're following you, they want to know more about you. And so, of course, when you first start one, you want to use very clear and action oriented language. So, clarity in your wording, using verbs, using action verbs, using present tense action verbs. It's like learn more, get your free guide now, or get instant access now, or if like don't get too wordy as well. But learn more about X product by clicking here. That's really clear, understanding what it is, and that's really what you want to happen um, in your emails. And the next thing is to make it stand out visually. So you want it to use, you can either use text, you can bold it, you can bold and underline it. Sometimes people put carrots around it, which is just a carrot symbol like that on either side. So you have your wording. Some people use all caps, and I would at least capitalize it. The carrots can be used a little bit. I wouldn't go overboard with it too much. Also, is making a button out of it. That's really where it starts to stand out a lot. So, depending upon what your email system is, or autoresponder system, it may be easier or not to create a button. So it just depends on your email system and whatnot. So all of them work. You can use them interchangeably. Personally, I like the button a lot, because it just, people know what a button is. They're looking for buttons. People know to click buttons, and so that's where you want to probably utilize it the most. But bold text works really well, especially if you're doing, like, if it's a content article, you just want someone, say you're doing a blog article and you want them to read the full article. Maybe the button isn't necessarily needed. Some bold text is fine as well. So that's what you want to look up, use. Next thing is obviously focusing on the benefits. So you want to know what it is. Sign up to get access. Sign up to have access to exclusive tips, for example, or subscribe. Instead of using subscribes, get daily tips to boost your business. So it's the idea of what they're going to get from it is really what you can use as well. Learn fat loss in 3 simple steps by clicking here. Those are types of things that you can really benefit people from. And so what people are going to get from it, and they're always looking at it, well, even though they may not be paying money, they are using their time and their resources to go on to the next thing. And so that's where you really want to make sure that you are showing them what the benefit actually is of clicking on the next thing. And then the next thing, of course, is limiting the number of CTAs. So a lot of times people are like, well, if I'm gonna, I should put like 3 CTAs in there, and that used to work. Nowadays, the more links you put in there, a lot of times it gets flagged as a spam email. So you want to be very careful in putting in the number of CTAs. You can put a couple in there if it makes sense. Most of the time, I just use one. It's because if you're doing a lot, unless it's like an overwhelming number of things, you're doing like a newsletter of, say for example, you have like a weekly roundup newsletter. Sometimes you're gonna have multiple CTAs in there, just because you're highlighting what happened that week, and so there's a lot of information of just summarizing what happened each week, if that's what your newsletter is about. If it's just a standard email with one clear thing you're talking about, then usually just 1 CTA is fine, maximum 2. That's usually what I do. So again, if you do too many in there, it just gets cluttered, it looks weird, and it'll be flagged as spam. So don't limit the number of times you're doing that. And then the last thing is always create a urgency behind your CTA as well. So for a limited time, today only, while supplies last, anything that's there, even if you maybe are only going to offer it for a day, put a countdown timer too. Those are kind of ways of creating urgency. It's like, hey, you need to get this now because I don't know how long I'm gonna keep it up, or I'm gonna have this, this price, or this, give this away for free. Anything like that is gonna get people to do that, just because they're knowing that this is only gonna be there for a limited amount of time. Obviously, don't lie. If it's not, then don't do it. But if it is, then hey, you can always say for a limited time, because a lot of times you may change your mind down the road. It's like, hey, I want to start charging for this thing because so many people are getting so much value out of it, and so that's a way of doing it as well. So anyway, those are ideas that you can use for your CTAs, and making sure that you're clear, it's action oriented, and there's some scarcity involved. That's what's going to maximize the number of people that are going to click on them and then take the next action to go to your next step in whatever funnel they're going through. So hopefully this has been helpful, and I'll talk to you next time. And again, if you want more information on marketing tips in general, go to marketopiahq.com, which is down below in this description of this video, and talk to you next time.